Hey everyone, it's Brett Hornby here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Figured this would be an interesting video to make. As I'm recording this, it's Game 7 day. Some hockey fans, they embrace Game 7. Me, I'm definitely feel like I'm a little in the field position, given this is round 1 of Game 7. And I cheer for these guys. Why am I tentative for Game 7, Round 1, and I'm a Calgary Flames fan? Because history is not on my side. Although I am trying to keep the faith, but I'm not too happy that in the 2022 Stanley Cup Playoffs, that the series that we draw with the Dallas Stars needs a 7th game. But I'm going to say history is not on my side, and I'll show you. In one year in particular, in 1994, I am scarred as a fan when it comes to getting out of the first round. And I definitely can emphasize with Leaf fans, because they have not gotten out of the first round since 2004. So I'm just as tortured in a way as much as Leaf fans when it comes to not getting out of the first round, or it has to be very, very troubling and hard on the nerves when we do. Hence why I'm tentative, and I'm definitely tentative today. So before I get into the story itself, if you want to follow on with this Calgary sports fans journey, home to Flames, Hitmen, Roughnecks, and Stampeders, as well as the Calgary FC, just make sure you hit like, subscribe, and I have my other social links down in the description below. And of course, I have my second channel in Brett Hornby Shorts. And regardless, after Game 7, I will be recapping what said series went with the Calgary Flames and the Dallas Stars. But I don't know. Am I going to be dreading and being spicy, or am I actually going to be excited that we won the series? Especially the Edmonton Oilers are waiting for their opponents. Please win tonight. Please. That's all I gotta say. But I think I saw a figure that this will be the 13th Game 7 that the Calgary Flames have played in their franchise history. And I think they've only won 5 of them. So if I bring out my notes, and I'm going to say Game 7 history, listen season by season history. The first time the Calgary Flames played in a Game 7 was their first year that they moved from Atlanta to Calgary. The Atlanta Flames have never gotten out of the first round in their history, but when they moved here from Atlanta in the second round, the Calgary Flames won their first Game 7, but it was in the second round where they defeated the Philadelphia Flyers 4-3, and I understand it was a huge upset that we won in Philadelphia. Of course, the first round series that the Calgary Flames had was against the Chicago Blackhawks. It was a best of 5 at the time. They swept them in 3 games. So that would have been the first round that I would have been like, cool as a cucumber. And then the next time the Calgary Flames played a Game 7 was in 1983, where this became kind of a theme. No, Game 7. Game 7, actually not 1983, 1984. As the Calgary Flames lost to the Edmonton Oilers in 7 games in the second round, eventually for the Edmonton Oilers to win the Stanley Cup. However, they had stacked teams then. And then the next time the Calgary Flames won Game 7, they won 2 Game 7s. But it wasn't in the first round. It was in 1986, where they defeated the Edmonton Oilers in 7 games, 4-3 in round 2. I'm going to say that series is definitely famous for one incident. And then the next round, the Conference Championships, the Calgary Flames defeated the St. Louis Blues at home in 7 games. So far, things are looking good for Game 7s. But in 1989, this is where things started turning. That even in 1989, when the Calgary Flames won the Stanley Cup, they needed 7 games with the Vancouver Canucks. And they needed overtime in that 7th game. And there were a lot of close calls. But the Calgary Flames were able to win that series. But I think they tried really hard to not win that series. That was 1989. And then this is where I really started, getting more aware, and this is where I dread Game 7 round one. Because going back to the first years that the Calgary Flames moved from Atlanta, the Atlanta Flames never gotten out of the first round. 1981, obviously they got out of the first round because they got to the second round in the conference championship. They beat Chicago 3-9, keep them out as the best 5. 1982, well, the Flames actually struggled that year. They had an under 500 record. They got swept by the Vancouver Canucks 3-0 in the first round. But the Flames had a bad year that year, so I'll give them that. Then in 1983, Calgary defeated the Vancouver Canucks 3-1 in the first round. So another fairly easy first round. Then in 1984, the Calgary Flames defeated the Canucks again in the first round. 3-1, we'll say another fairly easy first round. Then in 1985, we did lose the first round 3-1 to the Winnipeg Jets. And then 1986, we defeated the Winnipeg Jets in 3 straight, still best of 5 at that time. And then 1987 was the first year that best of 7s came into play. In the first round, in 1987, we lost to the Winnipeg Jets 4-2. I'm going to say the last first round series. And actually somebody asked on the Flames page, when was the last time the Calgary Flames won a series that did not involve beating the Vancouver Canucks? Answer, 1988. In 1988, the Calgary Flames defeated the Los Angeles Kings 4-1 in the best of 7. But then we got swept by the Edmonton Oilers the next round. But they had stacked teams. Then this is where first rounds really made me a mess as a fan. I mean, 1989, yes, we won the Stanley Cup, but we needed 7 games. That was such a mismatch. Vancouver definitely pushed us to the edge. And then Calgary, they disposed of the Kings 4 straight in the second round. And then we disposed the Chicago Blackhawks in the third round, and Chicago went on a nice run, probably with Mike Keenan in his prime. And then we won the Stanley Cup 4-2 against the Montreal Canadiens. And oh yeah, we won the Cup in Montreal. Maybe that's part of the curse of the form, that Calgary is the only team to win the Stanley Cup on Montreal ice, and the old faded Montreal form. But Calgary also did have to come back from 2-1 down in that series, where they lost Game 3 in double overtime. I think I remember there was a controversial penalty that happened. And then, let me just say, first rounds in general, but Game 7s, this is where it definitely has kind of scarred me as a fan. 1990, the next year, we were going to play Los Angeles Kings in the first round. That did not require Game 7. But it became apparent that the Calgary Flames were not going to defend their championship. Because I think in that series, I think we had a game we lost like 12-4. But one thing that started to become apparent, that the Calgary Flames, they like to lose elimination games in overtime. And that happened in 1990, in Game 6. And I also think that there was a controversial call, if I'm not mistaken, in that said overtime, that I think it looked like Calgary scored. And there's proven we scored to force a Game 7. And it didn't happen, and ultimately Los Angeles won. Then, Game 7 in 1991, we played the Edmonton Oilers. That went to 7 games. Calgary actually were down 3-1 in that series. Forced to Game 7. We're up 3-0. And I think I remember we were down 4-3. Finally got the tying goal late to have Esatikin to score that winner in overtime. So this is where that first round and Game 7 has made me tentative And then we didn't make the playoffs in 92. 93, we made the playoffs, but we lost in Los Angeles in 6 games. But 1994, this is where I'm definitely scarred as a fan. Because in 1994, we were favorites against the Vancouver Canucks. We lost to them in 7 games. That would have been okay if it wasn't involving the fact that the Calgary Flames were up 3-1 at that point in that series. And then they lost the next 3 games all in overtime. And the fact that the Vancouver Canucks went all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals that year. Calgary still had members of the 1989 team on that team. And the fact that we lost 3 straight in overtime. I think, looking back at that series, if the Calgary Flames would have finished off the Vancouver Canucks in one of those games, I think the Calgary Flames would have been playing the New York Rangers in the Stanley Cup Final. I'm being hypothetical. But if you look back at that 1994 playoff run, Vancouver went on that run to the Stanley Cup Finals. Keep in mind, Detroit got upset by the San Jose Sharks. So that would have blew the door open for the Western Conference that year. But I think if Calgary would have finished off Vancouver, we would have been high on finishing off Vancouver. And you're looking at history, getting out of the first round has been a problem. But then once you get out of the first round, we seem to do well. Because if you look back at that, how that playoff run went, Calgary would have played San Jose in the second round. I know San Jose ultimately played Toronto, and Toronto was still in the Western Conference at that time, and San Jose did push Toronto, but I think how Calgary would have matched up with San Jose that year, I think we would have beaten San Jose, and Toronto would have played St. Louis, and I think Toronto would have beaten St. Louis, and then we would have had a Calgary-Toronto Western Conference Final. That would have been a dandy, especially the Doug Gilmour story, 2 years after that bad trade. Let's say we would have beaten Toronto in 7. I still think if we would have played the Rangers in the finals that year, we still would have lost. Because the New York Rangers had a stacked team, and they had Mike Keenan in his coaching prime, and Mike Keenan did not want to be the first coach in National Hockey League history to be on the wrong end of 3 Stanley Cup Final games in 7, if we made it that far. But 1994 and first rounds have scarred me as a fan because of the fact that we lost to Vancouver 3 straight in overtime to watch him eventually go to the Stanley Cup Final. And you know what? If Calgary would have went to the finals that year, your city would have been burnt down Vancouver. So it would have been more good if Calgary would have won that series. Because at that time it would have been, oh well, Calgary's a better team. But that series has scarred me. But then, to make things worse, the next season we played the San Jose Sharks in the first round. We lost that in 7 games. And we lost that in double overtime, if I recall. And Wade Flaherty made like 878 saves that game. Kind of reminds me of a goaltender right now, in Jake Ottinger. So once again, we had to lose Game 7 in overtime. And then 1996, we got swept by the Chicago Blackhawks, but of course we had to lose that game in overtime. And then, of course, we went that long drought without making the playoffs until 2004. You could say maybe 2004 was some revenge from 1994, but even then, the Calgary Flames, in Calgary Flames fashion, they still had to make that first round more interesting than it needed to be. Because, it was a back-and-forth series. We were finally just happy to be in the playoffs, and Vancouver had a veteran team. There still would have been if Todd Bertuzzi didn't go apeshit on Steve Moore, if Marcus Nazzal and Trevor Linden were healthier, and if Dan Cloutier had more confidence and didn't get hurt in that series, who knows what could have happened. But that series, eventually I'll talk about the Calgary Flames 2004 playoff run in a video series, which I'm still working on. We lost Game 1 then we won game 2, then we lost game 3, and then Calgary won the next 2 to be up 3-2, coming home. And I was thinking, that's it. We're going to finish that for the Canucks at home. And of course, in Calgary Flames fashion, we were down 4-0 to Vancouver. And then they had to tease me and give me hope. And scored the next 4 to bring on the comeback. And they said, let's just get them in overtime. And then that game went to triple overtime, and Brendan Morrison had to score in the triple overtime to say, oh man, game 7. And then that game 7, I was too nervous to watch that game. I let Peter Marr tell me, and Jerome McGinley stood up in that game. Calgary was up 1-0. I remember Matt Cook tying up. And then the longest time, Jerome McGinley scored, I think it was in the third period, early in the third period. Then it was 2-1. I was saying, we're going to hang in there. 2-1. Net was empty. Just buried in the empty net. And of course, it didn't happen. I know someone threw something on the ice. The puck just went wide. And actually, if you watch the Jerome McGinley retirement ceremony, it was actually Martin Gelinas and Craig Conroy. They were talking about the sequence of events in that game 7, where it looked like, well, we'll just hang in there, we'll win 2-1, we'll win the series in regulation. And of course, Matt Cook, he had to tie the game up with 5 seconds left, and I was ready to say, oh boy, my heart's going to be broken yet again. But then ultimately, we were still on the power play, because Ed Jovanovski was in the penalty box, and you got a video of him jumping all up and down when Matt Cook tied it up. And then there was another video of him being down that he was still in the penalty box when Martin Gelinas scored. And I definitely exploded with joy because I never thought I'd ever see the Flames win a series at that time. And then, of course, they went on that run to the finals. They beat Detroit in 6. They beat San Jose in 6. And then, yes, there was that heartbreak that we lost to Tampa Bay in 7. Of course, things happened in game 6. Overtime loss. I guess that had to go that way. I guess even more heartbreak would have been as if we lost game 7 in overtime. But starting to see a theme that even when Calgary's up in a series, especially in the first round, they can't seem to close out the deal. And then, it's in 2006, we lost. That's the last time the Calgary Flames, until 2022 tonight, the last time the Calgary Flames had home ice, Game 7, Sea of Red, they lost, and they had like the worst Game 7 ever, where they lost 3-0, lost 3, in Game 7, 3-0, to the Anaheim Ducks, and the Anaheim Ducks eventually did go to the Conference Championship. There were still many times in that series, I remember, that the Calgary Flames could have finished off the Ducks, especially in Game 6, and they couldn't. And then in 2007, well, we had a bad matchup with the Detroit Red Wings, so it wasn't much of a heartbreak that we lost 4-2 against Detroit, but of course Game 6 had to be in overtime. Kiprusoff was the reason why we did not get swept, but that's that series. And then Game 2008, of course we lost to San Jose on the road, but at least it was more humane about it. We lost like 5 or 6-2 in Game 7. And then 2009, well, we lost 4-2 against Chicago, at least not in overtime. And then even then in 2015, we had to still make it interesting with Vancouver, where we were up 3-1. Vancouver won Game 5, Vancouver, and then Game 6 in Calgary. We still had to make it interesting, where it still wasn't comfortable. Yes, we won Game 6. I think it was 7-4, but we were down like 3-0, and then we tied it up, and it was back and forth, and then, of course, Matt Stajan scored the overtime winner, or not the overtime winner. That game did not need overtime because we won 7-4, because I think we had 2 empty netters or something in that game. But it was like 4 minutes to go in the third period where Stajan scored one of the biggest goals that he scored in Flames history. And then the first round, it's always, you lose, swept by the Ducks in 2017. And then 2019, this is where I'm feeling that frustration again with the Flames. The Flames had the third best regular season in franchise history, but lost in 5 to Colorado. So you kind of see the gist of it, why I'm tentative as a Calgary Flames fan in the first round. Because I grew up in the 90s, where we still had good teams. I mean, not Stanley Cup caliber. I mean, we slowly lost the way to talent and the economics changed, but I've been teased and my heart broken too many times, and I'm just feeling mixed emotions coming into this Game 7. Of course, it's a game on Sunday night, so I'm not going to be able to follow the game, so maybe if I'll get up in the middle of the night, I might either moan really loudly or shout to tell my lungs, yes, yeah, baby. So I'll apologize in advance if that does happen. But you can see why I'm tentative. First round, Game 7. I've had enough, heartbreaks that, you almost get too accustomed to it in a way. It's kind of like, you're trying to chase that girl. She always shouts you down. But when you do, it's like, fucking yeah. That's like the playoffs is. And, I just still feel this series with Dallas. The way we matched up with Dallas, I'm not too happy that we need a 7th game. But I'm going to say 1994, I'm going to still say, as a fan, it scarred me. Do you kind of see what I mean? That if the Flames, I'm being still hypothetical, if we would have finished off Vancouver in 94, that I think we would have played the Rangers instead of the Canucks. 2004, I guess you could still say was a nice small revenge, but even then that was still uncomfortable, just how that happened. And I'm just worried that, we're either going to lose a tight one, we're either going to lose big or lose a tight one in overtime. I mean, I just wish that, it could happen that maybe we'll win 7-0. Jake Ottinger, his shield is busted. And that Johnny Mathkachuk, Andrew Mangiapane, the dam bursts. I would like to see that more. Then maybe I can slowly get, more easy in the first round. But I'm going to say 1988, to answer that person's question. That was the last time that the Calgary Flames won a playoff series, not being the Vancouver Canucks, but I'm going to say that's the last time we won a playoff series in the first round that didn't require you to be in the fetal position. I will be in the fetal position. I'm sorry, I'm a fan, but I've been a fan that's lived through, all those heartbreaks. I mean, I was too young to really fully appreciate the Stanley Cup win, but even the year when we won the Cup, it was still too much of an advantage in overtime. But thanks to my childhood favorite Flame, was there in 1989. Maybe that's why we didn't win in 94. Because I did remember Joe Otto could not play in that game. If he did, we would have won. Because that's what Joe Otto does. But hopefully we do have a Joe Otto or a Martin Jonas on this team if we need to. If this game has to go to overtime. Make it harder on the fans. Hopefully we have a Martin Jonas or a Joe Otto for this generation of Flames fans, because what happens tonight in Game 7 is going to influence the offseason for sure. I think if we do not win this Game 7, there is going to be roster changes all in. I think there's going to be a few free agents there. We're going to tell them, think you can make, $7, $8, $9, $10 million? There's the door. See ya. And then fill in the other gaps. That's what I think could happen. Of course, if we win, this is all forgiven. I'll get that dream Battle of Alberta, and I think how we would match up with Edmonton, we could still go all the way. But it's that first round, Game 7. That's all I got to feel. That it's given me a lot of heartache as a fan. And this year has definitely been no different. I'm going to still say 1994 was the ultimate low point as a Flames fan in the playoffs. Of course, all those other times that we have to lose at home in regulation in elimination game is rubbing that in too. But I just hope it's different. You always hear, well, this is a different team, different history, different players, different everything. Well, tell that to Leaf fans today too. They haven't. Last time the Calgary Flames went to the Stanley Cup Finals was the last time the Toronto Maple Leafs got out of the first round. And I think I still picture it was round 2. And even then, of course, had to be kind of Calgary Flames fashion. The Philadelphia Flyers, I remember, they eliminated the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think it was Jeremy Roenick at that time actually did score the goal in overtime in Toronto, because ultimately that third round when Calgary played San Jose and we beat San Jose, it was Philadelphia or Tampa Bay on who we were going to play in the Stanley Cup Final. There was a side of me was hoping in 2004 Calgary-Toronto. I was hoping for that this year, and obviously not. Damn you, Tampa Bay. Well, let's hope we beat you in the finals this year if it happens, but we need to win tonight. That's all I'm going to feel, just me rambling on that, the first round, I'm tentative as a Flames fan. I mean, if I didn't have to work, even then I would still go to the game or go to the red lot, but I wouldn't be able to fully enjoy the game, to be honest with you, because I'd be on pins and needles the whole game, especially if it goes to overtime, because it's round one, game 7, and for younger fans, I've dealt those heartbreak, and it's happened too many times. I just hope that we can finally be on the right end of it. That's all I'm going to say. I'm sure you can sympathize with me if you are one of those older Flames fans, you know what I mean, that I'm nervous as heck tonight. I am. Because what happens tonight is going to dictate the off-season, the rest of the playoff race, and we'll at least get that dream bell of Alberta. It's been 31 frickin' years. The TV networks want it too. The NHL wants it. It's meant to be. Come on. Let's just get it done tonight, please. It's been a rough years being a fan. Yes, we won the cup, but there was a lot of heartbreak after that too, and even then some scary moments the year we did win the cup. So that's all I'm going to say. So anyway, I want to say, if you want to follow with this Calgary sports fan's journey, home the Flames, Hitmen, Roughnecks, and Stampeders, I mostly do talk Calgary sports on my YouTube channel, or recap game stories, or why the heck I'm a little nervous for Game 7, Round 1 tonight. But I also do a variety of non-sports content like personal vlogs, attempt to comedy. I also do share my experiences, say I'm on the road, or at a sporting event, and I've done some vlogging to go. So if that all sounds like it'd be interesting to watch, to follow along with this Calgary sports fan's journey, you know what you do, just make sure you hit like, subscribe, and I also have my other social medias down in the description below, and I do have my second channel in Brad Hornby Shorts, where I exclusively put my short form content there, so hopefully you like to subscribe both here on my main channel as well as my second channel. So hopefully when I get to do my first round recap, hopefully we're on the right end of Game 7, and my second round preview will be previewing the Battle of Alberta. But that's not up to me at this point now. It's up to these guys on the ice, and I've dealt with enough. I think, Calgary's only won 5 Game 7s. Although I did see another tidbit that I think Daryl Sutter has been in the most Game 7s as head coach. I think this will be his 11th Game 7 in his coaching career. He is 7-3 coming in. So a 70% chance. So something's got to give. And I'm a fan of the team. My heart's been broken too many times. Something's got to give. But please, I really want this to be on the right end of it, because I've had enough over the years. It'd be another wasted regular season. Basically what I'm saying. Like 2019, 1994, those regular seasons were like put to waste because of what happened in the first round. So I'm going to say go Flames go. I'll try to keep the faith, but I'm still scared as heck. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully as ecstatic that because we won. Please, Battle of Alberta. I've been asking nicely for months. I've been trying to be a good boy. I want that Battle of Alberta, even though some people might disagree. But at least they didn't give me Toronto to win either, so I don't know. I was only half happy yesterday where Toronto lost because they lost to Tampa Bay, because I was hoping for an all-Canadian final, but at least Edmonton won. They're waiting for whoever they're playing. We want to be coming for you, Edmonton. So make it happen, Calgary. Make it happen, Calgary Flames. Let's get it done. And but still forgive me, I'm in the field position, so thank you.